Okay, let's get one thing straight. Mike Wheeler, I know what you are. Before fully getting into this discussion, I would just like to preface this and say that I'm in no way going to be adding anything new or mind-blowing or anything of greater substance than the thousands of beautifully articulated, well-written, and well-scripted Byler analysis videos that have been on the internet much longer than this video or channel, quite frankly, but I just want to add something from the perspective of the general audience. And by that I mean that this is coming from someone who's not as heavily invested in every facet of Stranger Things. I do not consume any extra media regarding the show and will only be using examples from the series itself that have convinced me that Byler is endgame. And if you're asking why, it's because I've just been seeing so much discourse around that Byler would come out of nowhere and ruin the general audience's perception of the relationship between Mike and Will. And if Mike suddenly turned gay, it will ruin the show. And I would just like to tell you as a member of the general audience that I don't think it would ruin the show at all actually, which I know is a crazy hot take at the moment for this fandom, but I now believe that the Duffers have actually set this relationship up over the course of the show. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is breaking it up into segments to discuss why I am now convinced that Byler is going to be canonized. I will be discussing the relationship between Mike and Will, the comparisons of Mike and Will and the similarities to the other couples in the show, and the comparisons between Maleven and Byler. The relationship between Mike and Will. The very first thing on the top of my list that I want to tackle is the famous "it came out of nowhere" consensus that is going around. No. Seriously, it didn't. I will be the first to admit that I did not catch on to this relationship being built until watching season 4 and my rewatch of the seasons prior to season 5. But once I did, I started noticing moments between Mike and Will that were looking a bit like, seriously, can anyone give me a heterosexual explanation for this? Like, it got me thinking until watching part 2 of season 4 and realizing, oh, we're actually going there. Wow. So, jokes aside, when it comes to hinting at sexuality, it most definitely did not come out of nowhere. Case in point, Will Byers has always been gay since season 1, and his sudden gayness did not manifest out of nowhere for the plot of season 4. It has been clearly stated by his own mother in the first episode of season 1 that he was, end quote, a sensitive child. His father called him queer and called him slurs. He was abused by him for things that were different about him, and look at him. Seriously, look at him. What kind of monster abuses a little child like that? All because of his suspected queerness. And besides his father, it is explicitly stated that the town of Hawkins is extremely homophobic. Even in cases pertaining to Will's disappearance and death, Will was not taken seriously. Even up until they discovered his quote-unquote body, he was not given the respect he deserved, and his disappearance was first of all blamed on another queer person. Homophobia has always been an underlying threat in season 1, and it also ties back to the way Mike behaves and how he vehemently defends Will. Mike's behavior around and towards Will. I think that it's important to say that the relationship between Mike and Will has always been a pivotal part of the show. You see this from season 1, where the entirety of the season revolves around Mike absolutely believing that Will is alive and out there, even going to great lengths to find him, and is the only character who is directly parallel to Joyce, who, mind you, didn't even see Will's body being taken out of the lake. Mike did. Mike watched what he assumed was Will's body being pulled out of the water and still said that's not Will. Even though he went home and cried to his mom, he still clinged onto the last stitch of hope that Will was alive, even before Al got through to Will on the radio. And it is very well shown that they are always interconnected in every circumstance. Nothing proves this more than season 2, honestly, where Mike is full-time taking care and looking out for Will.
Are you okay? Will, what's wrong? Maybe we can solve this thing. Maybe we can help Will. Will!
I could talk more about season 2, but I believe you get the gist. What I would like to do instead is focus more on season 3 because it shows one of the most drastic changes in a character ever, and for no reason seemingly. Like, I'm sure we've all seen enough jokes around that season 1 Mike would beat the shit out of season 3 Mike for how he's treated Will, but why is that? It really doesn't make sense why such a well-established character just drastically changes within a season, especially towards another character that they have revolved around for the past 2 seasons. Like, a change this drastic doesn't happen for no reason. Case in point, the entire fight scene between Mike and Will. I would like you to take a moment and just think, what was the need for this scene to exist in the first place? Because I have two reasons which are hopefully a bit more different than the normal topics of discussion, and that is, I think that the rain scene was specifically used in season 3 to convey to the audience about building up to Will's sexuality being an important plot point in the show. Because of all the things Mike had to say to Will, why would it be something so painful and something that would leave Will so baffled that he just decides to leave in the first place? Don't get me wrong, the way the fight starts seems to be Will getting angry that his friendship is being left behind, but the way it escalates towards something so dramatic and so painful, it just makes you think, why did they need to do this? Until season 4, where they try again to put it in your face that Will's sexuality has always been a part of his character. And they do it in the most painful way possible by making the boy that Will has feelings for directly question it. The second point I would like to bring up with the fight scene is that Mike is aware of the difference in Will's sexuality. He may not know fully that Will is gay, but he damn well has an idea that it's different, and that scares him because he sees that difference in himself. That is why he projects it onto Will and continues to do so within season 4 until he drastically changes when Ella's just not there anymore. I'll talk more about that in the next segment, but that is something to keep in mind. The comparisons of Mike and Will and the similarities to other couples in the show. If you're a fan of Stranger Things, I know you can't sit there and say that the Duffers do not like repetition, because my goodness, they love it.
Oh my god, why is that guy on the gun? Drive! Hurry up! Everybody hang on to something! Oh my god, let's go! Joyce, quit rolling around! Shit! Go! Joyce, drive! Joyce, please! Joyce! Drive!
So with that being said, I'm going to go through a list of comparisons between the established couples in the show and how they somewhat mirror Mike and Will throughout the seasons. And the first pairing I would like to talk about will be Lou Max, which is the relationship between Lucas and Max. And I need to get this out of the way first. I swear to God, this is the sweetest relationship in the show. I love these two so much. I think they have like one of the most healthiest dynamics ever. And with that being said, I think what parallels the most between Lumax and Byler is vulnerability. In my opinion, I genuinely think that Lumax is the most vulnerable relationship in the show, and where Lucas and Max don't ever shy away from openly communicating with each other. Even when they have a hard time in season 4, Lucas is always pushing for Max to know that she is not alone in whatever she's facing. Similarly, I think you can compare the same to Mike and Will. Mike can only be vulnerable when he's talking to Will, and Will coaxes that out of him. When he can't say he loves Elle, he goes to Will, because they have that strong familiarity and closeness with each other.
I'm sorry. Jesus, what's wrong with me?
Hey, it's Hawkins. It's not the same without you. And I feel like maybe I was worrying too much about Elle. And I don't know, maybe I feel like I lost you or something.
Jancy, the relationship between Jonathan and Nancy. I honestly find it really funny but also really intentional that, of course, if we had to talk about Byler and mirroring couples in the show, they directly mirror and are directly related to the other couple in the show, who are their own siblings. And it is compared to the point where it is literally the same shot-by-shot scenes between these two pairs. And I think the theme that parallels between Byler and Jancy is one of authenticity. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, Mike directly mirrors Nancy, especially when you compare season 4 Mike to season 2 Nancy. And honestly, that only occurred to me on my rewatch of the seasons in preparation for season 5. Especially in season 2 when Steve confronts Nancy about not telling him she loves him. And the thing is, she can't. It directly parallels the fight scene between Mike and Eleven in season 4. And the thing is, with both of these siblings, even after being confronted with the issue, they still can't say it. Nancy was given the opportunity to say it to Steve, and she doesn't. Exactly how Al gives Mike the opportunity to say it, and he still doesn't. And that particular issue is dragged on throughout season 4 until the end, where he has no choice but to say he loves her. I am getting a bit ahead of myself, but I hope you do see that these siblings really do parallel each other. And it really plays a big role when it comes to these two siblings being authentic with themselves and the people around them. Like I said, why I think Jancy represents authenticity is because we are directly shown relationships that Nancy has that makes her, one, act how she thinks she needs to be with the person she thinks will give her the most difference in her life, compared to who she ends up with, who is the actual difference in her life. And honestly, another comparison is just that Jonathan truly does bring out the best in Nancy. He helps her, he takes her seriously when it comes to Bob's death, and he encourages her to do what she thinks is best for the situation. Just like how Will knowingly and unknowingly encourages Mike to tell Al that he loves her. He pushes Mike to believe in himself and his words to Al, while convincing himself that this is what Mike needs. Exactly like how Jonathan gives Steve the credit for helping Nancy in season 2 when she gets drunk at a party. In both pairs, the Byler siblings allow space for the Wheeler sibling to grow and navigate themselves on their own, instead of putting themselves in a mold that they have clearly outgrown. Nancy gains her independence by being with somebody as supportive as Jonathan, and Mike gains his leadership back by being with someone as supportive as Will. But I swear to God, these Wheeler siblings and their like non-love language, love language is so funny.
Me.
Tell you what?
You love me.
Really?
Heretic!
You don't love me anymore?
Who said that I didn't?
You never say it.
The comparisons between Maleven and Byler. And first of all, I would just like to say I do not hate Maleven in any way, shape or form. I genuinely thought the ship was extremely cute until season 3, but I would just like to say before anybody says anything, I do like Maleven. I do think Mike and Al are adorable together. And I think it's a bit ridiculous to think that you have to hate one couple in order to like another. So with that out of the way, I would like to show that the next parallel I think between Maleven and Byler is one of growth and stagnation. Elle's arc in the show is one of independence. And say what you want about Mike and her being together, but she simply does not obtain independence when she is in a relationship with Mike. But the both do grow when they are not with each other. The only difference is that Elle needs her independence in order to grow, and Mike lives in the stagnation when they are in their relationship together. And come season 4, we see that Elle goes on a journey to fully outgrow Mike, in my opinion. We see Elle grow each season and slowly gain independence, all the way from season 2, where she makes her own decisions to leave Hopper's cabin and find her own mom. And in season 3, she without a second thought dumps Mike and goes off with Max and finds her own personality. In season 4, she decides that she needs her superpowers in order to save her friends. And she could have went back. She really could have. She had the choice, but she knew what was at stake and she made her own decision on what to do about it. And through her own journey of self-discovery, she finally learns that she was never the monster, but it was the man who abused her and her siblings for the majority of her life. But with Mike, we see his character slowly regress after being in a relationship with Al. And I'm not saying that it is because of her, but I am saying it is because of the way he thinks a relationship should be. I always found this one scene in particular really funny when he's talking to Will about the fight that he and Al have, and he explicitly explains it as, describes it as more adult. On one part, it was a very serious argument that they had, but on the other part, it makes me think that what is Mike viewing this relationship as? And in what lens? Because I genuinely think his relationship with Al is immature. It took one fight for him to think that there was no coming back or no salvaging their relationship. And that is why I think he stays in a point of stagnation when in a relationship with Al. And comparing that to the time he spends with Will, I find it very interesting that all it takes is just a small amount of time for him to come back to his senses and start thinking about the situation a bit more maturely when it comes to finding Al and reaching her. Because once Al is on her journey to grow, we see that Mike is directly also on his own journey to actually grow up while he is away from her. And the only way it is showcased him doing that is in having conversations with Will. And if I'm being honest, Will spends almost the entirety of season 4 helping and reassuring Mike that everything is going to be okay. But on the flip side of this, I would also like to bring in the comparison that Will actually also stays in a state of stagnation and regression, mostly in season 3. And even though it is resolved by the end of season 3, it is still rehashed again by season 4 when Mike comes to visit and he acts awkward with Will. Which again, can anyone give me a heterosexual explanation for this? Because I really can't understand why this boy would be doing that. But the difference between Mike and Will and Mike and Al is that when it comes to solving their issues, Mike and Will do it together while Mike and Al do it separately. They actively talk it out. Even if it is a fight, they still have the capacity to hold each other in regards to talk it out. Also, speaking of them talking it out, one of the scenes that was the biggest indicator that something flirty is going on with them is the scene right here.
Best friends. Cool. Cool.
Because Michael, what is this? Michael, what is this, Michael? Michael, what the hell? This was the craziest scene. I swear to God, it was so crazy. Again, what is the heterosexual explanation for this entire scene? They could have just talked like two normal people, but we have Mike vehemently checking out Will. This is my Roman Empire. I can never get the scene out of my head. And if these comparisons and explanations weren't really enough or weren't properly explained, I think my biggest point that convinced me that Byler is probably gonna be canon is that if not, why is there a van scene in the first place? I did not expect Will's sexuality to play any role in the story. Like I said before, I had an idea that Will was most probably a queer child, but I didn't expect it to be addressed in any way. But now that it is, you would expect that plot point to at least be explored. Otherwise, why even bring it up in the first place and in such a dramatic reveal at all? Especially with now giving Will a love interest. Mike is at least Will's love interest, and that needs to be addressed whether it is through reciprocation or rejection. Will has a love interest. Because the creators of the show went out of their way to show us explicitly who Will is in love with. And they didn't have to do that, because they could have easily just given us a coming out scene with Will and Jonathan. Oh wait, they did. Even though Will does not explicitly say it to Jonathan, Jonathan takes the initiative to tell Will that he is safe with him. Also, side note here, please protect Jonathan, that's my boy, and he's the best older brother ever, and it's please, please, please protect my boy. But what I'm trying to say is that they gave us two scenes, the van scene and the scene in the pizza shop, to hammer home the fact that Will's sexuality is really important and the person he likes is also equally as important. And they go a step further to show that Jonathan is very well aware as to why Will is so bothered about Mike being around him. If this pair wasn't meant to be canon, why show this in the first place? Final thoughts and conclusions. I really don't know how long this video is going to be, but I hope it was at least a bit insightful and a bit easy to digest to show people of the general audience why I think Byler is at least plausible, hopefully canon. I think it would be cute if they're canon, honestly, and I don't have any other weight to the situation besides that. But just that seeing all this discourse floating around and how much disrespect the Byler fandom gets in general made me want to make this video. That being said, if in the event that Byler does become canon, I would like to throw in a small prediction, and it is that I think that if Malevolent had to break up, that Elle is going to be the one doing it, because I don't see Mike as a character being able to go through with it, and that's not because of like his endless love for her. I just think that he wouldn't be able to bring himself to hurt her, so ultimately she would be the one doing it, and it would really fit into her arc of independence by taking control of the situation and ending something on her own terms. And also like if she could dump his ass once, she could do it again.
I dumped your ass.
Anyways, I really can't wait for season 5, and I really have so much faith in the Duffers that this is going to be a fantastic season. So if you like this video, let me know. And I think it's already too late to give out predictions, but maybe reactions as the episodes come out is something I could do if anybody's interested. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good time watching the show. Goodbye.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy.
Me too.
Hey, well, if we're both going crazy, then we'll go crazy together, right?
Yeah. Crazy together.